Novak Djokovic has officially had his worst season since 2017, where he sat out almost half the year because of injury. 7 years later, and the Serbian finds himself in a very similar position. Here's why Djokovic is going through only his second ever career slump. A slump may sound like a bit of a stretch. After all, he picked up 32 wins with a gold medal in the Paris Olympics, and even a final in Wimbledon. But those 32 wins have become so impressive when we compare them to his entire career. Here's a chart mapping out Djokovic's career win to losses per year, with the losses on the x-axis and wins on the y-axis. Right here stands his 2015 season, which is considered one of his best seasons, and also a year he had his highest win percentage at 93%, picking up 3 out of the 4 Grand Slams, only falling short in the final of the French Open to Stan Wawrinka. Super impressive. Now here is where the 2024 campaign lines up, exactly after the final Grand Slam of the year concluded. So yeah, a small slump in an otherwise decorated career, but in reality this was more a fitness and performance slump. Or was it? In very similar fashion to 2017, Djokovic suffered an injury that affected a portion of his season. This time around, it was a pretty big injury during the French Open in the 4th round. Officially, it was reported as a torn meniscus, an injury which usually takes about 4 to 12 weeks to recover from. However, he was able to take part 3 weeks later in Wimbledon. I know that there were a lot of theories about the truth of the injury and how it was faked, but whatever the case was, the fact stands that he reached his best result of the year during the Grand Slam of runner-up. In other words, we can't say that the reason he had this slump was because of an injury. Sure, it wasn't ideal, but he still played great after. Even in his US Open loss against Alexei Popyrin, he said this.
Not feeling fresh mentally and physically. But because it's US Open, I gave it a shot and I tried my best. I mean, I didn't have any physical issues. I just felt out of gas,
Physically okay. That is the words from the man himself, saying he's fine, and it wasn't down to any injuries that he was knocked out early from the slam by the Australian. So if it's not him being played by injuries but still losing, then it has to be the men on the other side of the net. Currently in the top 10 of tennis, excluding Novak and Dimitrov, who he didn't verse once the whole year, the average age is 25.3 years. That's a whole 12 years younger than the Serbian. Am I hinting that age might be becoming a factor for him? Yeah, sure. I don't think I make a crazy take when I say he's getting old. He says it himself that he is tired and worn out after the calendar year, despite playing a lot less games in the past. The men he lost to this year in Grand Slams are considered as a new generation, and this time, unlike the one which had Kyrgios to surpass Zverev, Medvedev to name a few, this time it's new generation, which will and already has made a big imprint in the game of tennis. The slams were both divided this year between Jannik Sinner and Alcaraz, whose average age is 22.2 years, 15 years younger than Djokovic. I think the Serbian is allowed to be considered a veteran, and how to the standards we hold Stan Wawrinka, for example, who is of the same age. What I am trying to say is that looking at it through this lens makes us appreciate more than criticize what Djokovic continues to achieve at his current age. Let me put this into perspective for you. Novak Djokovic currently stands 4th in the ATP rankings. Take a guess where the next man, who is also 37 years of age, is ranked. Maybe top 20, top 30, or 40, maybe 50. The next man with 37 years of age is Italian Fabio Fognini, who is ranked 80th. After that is Marchenko from Ukraine, ranked 315th. Look how well Novak Djokovic is playing for his age. Rafael Nadal is only a year older, and he is basically at this point out of tennis. I believe that we should be appreciating the longevity of his career, instead of looking at how he has regressed. He still won a gold medal, as we said, beat Carlos Alcaraz, French Open champion, to get. Instead of looking at the negatives of what is to come and what it's been of this year's campaign for Novak Djokovic, we should instead be appreciating the greatness that the Serbian has achieved, along with appreciating his ability to perform